Well, welcome to this explainer. Think about your body for a second. You wake up, you grab some food, maybe get stressed out by work, feel happy, and eventually go to sleep. It honestly just feels like a sequence of totally isolated events, right? But what if I told you that absolutely everything you experience, your mood, your digestion, your energy levels, and even how fast you're aging, is not some random collection of feelings? Actually, it's the output of a highly calibrated, beautifully unified biological machine. Today, we're going to decode the hidden biological truth running right beneath your everyday symptoms. We're popping the hood on human physiology. So I want you to keep this central mystery in the back of your mind as we go through this. What invisible biological forces are shaping the quality of my life every single day? Like, why do you sometimes get that intense knot in your stomach right before a big meeting? Or why does chronic stress literally seem to age us faster? Why is it that when you're completely mentally exhausted, your digestion just totally shuts down? We usually treat these as completely separate issues, right? A stomach problem over here, an anxiety issue over there. But as you're going to see, and trust me, the most important insight is still coming, these aren't separate issues at all. There is a completely hidden operating system running beneath your human experience, and it's dictating how you feel, how you age, and how you heal. Those surface-level experiences, your mood, your stress, your digestion, they're actually emergent properties of these deeply interconnected, invisible biological networks. It's like this constant two-way conversation happening inside you right this very second. And to really understand this conversation, we've got to look at the hardware. We have to look at a number that will completely change how you view your own anatomy. 500 million. That is the staggering number of neurons located, not in your head, but actually inside your gut. Just let that sink in for a second. You literally have 500 million neurons lining your gastrointestinal tract. So it doesn't just sit there digesting your lunch. It thinks, it reacts, and it actually remembers stress. This isn't just a fun metaphor. This is literal neural hardware, and it fundamentally changes the way we understand our own bodies. Meet your second brain, the enteric nervous system, or the ENS for short. It actually possesses full reflex circuits that allow it to coordinate local blood flow, fluid fluxes, and peristaltic activity completely on its own, entirely independently of your central brain. I mean, if the connection to your brain were somehow completely severed, your gut would just keep on functioning, mixing food and absorbing nutrients. It's a completely autonomous survival machine. But what exactly is this second brain producing down there? 90%. That's the amount of your body's serotonin, that crucial feel-good neurotransmitter that regulates your mood, your sleep, your overall well-being, that is produced right there in your gut. So many of us, actually scratch that, almost all of us, think of mental health as a purely brain-based phenomenon, right? But this widely misunderstood truth reveals that the vast majority of the chemicals deciding exactly how you feel today are being manufactured by the microbes and neurons in your digestive system. Your mental and emotional state is intrinsically tied to the biological state of your gut. So the really crucial point here is how these systems are actually governed. Your autonomic nervous system is split into two main branches. You've got the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight survival mode, and the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest recovery mode. Now, evolutionarily speaking, fight or flight was designed for really short bursts, like literally escaping a predator. But in our modern environment, chronic psychological stress from endless emails, traffic, finances, it traps us in sympathetic dominance. And here's the kicker. When you're in sympathetic dominance, your body actively halts digestion and immune repair. It literally shunts blood away from your gut. You just cannot heal if your body genuinely believes it's fighting for its life. Which brings us to this incredibly fascinating scientific paradox. Digestion actually begins in the brain. It's called the cephalic phase. It's an anticipatory physiological event that's triggered by the mere sight, the smell, or honestly, even just the thought of food. Your cerebral cortex and hypothalamus process those sensory inputs and shoot rapid signals down to your gut to prime it for nutrients. But if your brain is constantly stressed out, this priming never happens. You're basically asking your body to process food with an engine that hasn't even been turned on yet. So how exactly do the brain and the gut communicate all this complex information? Enter the vagus nerve. This is the bidirectional 10th cranial superhighway connecting your brain to your major organs, and it carries a massive 80% of all your parasympathetic rest and digest fibers. But it's primarily an information highway. It tells your brain exactly what is going on in your body. When you feel those butterflies in your stomach or you get that intuitive gut feeling, that is literally the vagus nerve physically transmitting data from your enteric nervous system all the way up into your conscious awareness. But here is exactly where things can go wrong. The bowel can become overly reactive to triggers like stress and emotional arousal. When that vagus nerve's activity drops because of chronic stress, we lose that parasympathetic shield, that internal protection. The gastrointestinal tract becomes incredibly hypersensitive. Simple daily activities, like going out to dinner, or even just reading a stressful email, start causing visceral pain and motility issues. The nervous system becomes totally dysregulated. And believe it or not, it fundamentally alters the physical structure of your gut. And this physical damage happens through a very precise biological cascade. Step 1, chronic stress. Step 2, vagal tone drops, your rest and digest system essentially goes offline. Step 3, cortisol, that major stress hormone, spikes. Step 4, this hormonal shift actually physically breaks the tight junction proteins in your gut lining, leading to increased intestinal permeability, which you've probably heard called leaky gut. And finally, step 5, bacterial fragments sneak into your bloodstream, causing systemic inflammation. And this inflammation travels everywhere. It affects your heart, it accelerates aging, and it degrades your cognitive longevity. It is all connected. And that brings us to one of the absolute most incredible discoveries in modern neurogastroenterology, Dr. Kevin Tracy's groundbreaking discovery of the cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway. This literally changed the game for our understanding of how the nervous system controls inflammation. The vagus nerve isn't just passively sending signals back and forth. It is actually acting as the body's hidden brake pedal for systemic inflammation. It is actively protecting your tissues from aging and disease. I want you to really visualize this real-time reflex loop with me. At 0 milliseconds, the vagus nerve senses inflammatory cytokines, basically the body's chemical alarm bells, down in the gut. By 100 milliseconds, the brainstem has already processed this threat. At 200 milliseconds, it fires an efferent, or outgoing, response straight down to the spleen. By 300 milliseconds, T cells in the spleen release a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, and at exactly 400 milliseconds, that acetylcholine binds to macrophages, which are your immune system's frontline soldiers, instantly suppressing their production of inflammation. In less than half a second, your nervous system applies a hyper-precise neural brake to protect your body. I mean, how amazing is that? Now, you might be sitting there wondering, okay, but how do I know if my brake pedal is actually working? Well, heart rate variability, or HRV, acts as a measurable window right into your vagus nerve function. It's simply the variation in time between your heartbeats. A high HRV means your vagus nerve is strong, your parasympathetic system is highly active, and you are resilient to stress and disease. A low HRV means your brake pedal is weak, which allows inflammation to just run unchecked. The absolute beauty of this is that, unlike a lot of other biological markers, vagal tone is directly trainable. We are not powerless in this system, not even close. Science provides us with incredible, evidence-based somatic interventions that actively stimulate the vagus nerve and restore that critical parasympathetic tone. Deep diaphragmatic, or belly breathing, literally mechanically stimulates the vagus nerve. Yoga and therapeutic movement balance out the autonomic nervous system. The mammalian diving reflex, which you can activate just by splashing cold water on your face, instantly slows your heart rate and forces your body right out of fight or flight. And then there is gut-directed hypnotherapy. This next part is truly a paradigm shift. A landmark trial over at Monash University compared gut-directed hypnotherapy against the super restrictive low FODMAP diet for irritable bowel syndrome. And the results? Neural retraining through hypnotherapy was just as effective as strict dietary changes for providing meaningful symptom relief. We're talking over 70% of participants improving. It proves that you can literally think your way toward a healthier gut by actively retraining the brain-gut connection. I want to be absolutely clear here. These somatic techniques aren't just about relaxing. They're deeply, profoundly physiological. Functional brain imaging actually shows that they measurably normalize pain sensitivity. They restore proper gut motility. They lower those inflammatory cytokines we talked about earlier. They fundamentally rehabilitate the gut-brain axis at both a cellular and neural level. You are quite literally rewiring your biological hardware through your daily behavior. Which brings us to the profound synthesis of everything we've uncovered in this explainer today. Health is not a collection of separate habits. Health is the emergent result of countless interconnected biological processes occurring every single moment of every day. Your sleep influences your hormones. Your hormones influence your mood. Your mood influences your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve dictates your inflammation, and your inflammation dictates exactly how you age. You are one beautifully, infinitely interconnected system. So, the final question I want to leave you with is this. How will you reshape your invisible operating system today? Every single breath you take, every moment of mindfulness, every time you actively choose to regulate your stress, you are sending a powerful signal down the vagus nerve, repairing your gut, and literally rewriting your biological future.
You've got the tools, you have the knowledge. Now it's time to take control of the system. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.